Welcome back to the Critics Corner. I am still Andrew Branca with the Waxahachie Sun. I'm here with my fellow movie lover and friend and colleague, Mr. David Dunn with Southlake Style Magazine. How's it going, man?
Tired, dude. I'm ready to turn in tonight. I don't know about you, but that's happy 2021. I'm as sleep deprived as ever.
Hey, it's better. I'd rather be sleep deprived in 2021 than 2020.
Amen. Amen. Good gravy, dude.
So we have a interesting film this week. It's out on Netflix. It's been out for a couple of weeks. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. So we are reviewing this week Outside the Wire, a science fiction action thriller starring Anthony Mackie, who most of you know, obviously, as Falcon from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The movie is about this drone pilot played here by Damon Idris after making a judgment call during one of his flights and directly going against his commanding officer's orders. He is thrust in the position to be on the ground floor. He is forced to be a foot soldier, more or less. And he is put under the command of Captain Leo, Anthony Mackie's character. But a little bit of an unexpected twist he wasn't expecting. He finds out he is an android. He is an android created by the United States government to kind of be the next generation super soldier for the United States Army. And we have our movie about androids and robots and war and drones and all of these things. And let me start with the positives, Andy, because I really, really like Anthony Mackie in this movie. I like Anthony Mackie in almost any movie he's in. Like whether he's sparring off against Eminem in 8 Mile or his diffusing bombs with Jeremy Renner in The Hurt Locker, or he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's always just been a really charismatic presence. He's always been a little bit of a BA, to censor myself for your show. And he's a really great actor. When you see Anthony Mackie's name on this project, you're like, oh, that dude. Yeah, and you expect him to be good, and he is good. He's very good in the movie. He's really charismatic, intelligent, crafty. He's easily the most interesting part of the movie, hands down.
Oh yeah, I mean, Anthony Mackie usually is kind of like that seal of approval on a product that usually means quality, and usually you're gonna get something good out of the performance from him. And I would say 9 times out of 10. I mean, I would say, and this movie is
one of the 10.
No, I mean it's kind of near that. I mean, it was all right. I wouldn't say necessarily his best. I mean, there were definitely parts where I thought they did better in the beginning of the movie than they did towards the end. There was a lot more buildup, I thought, but it didn't really seem to pan out. I guess they were kind of looking for some kind of better ending that they had written down. They're kind of maybe hoping for it a little.
I have so many problems with the ending, but we'll get to that in a minute. Yes, you are absolutely right. This movie is a very, very flawed movie. It has a lot of issues with it, starting with the lead, which the lead, believe it or not, I've been lavishing praise over Anthony Mackie. Anthony Mackie is not the lead in this movie. The lead in this movie is Damon Idris, and he is about as C-level of an actor as you can get. He is nowhere near as charismatic. He's nowhere near as interesting. He has an intriguing conflict set up in the movie with, he saved soldiers' lives, but he had to go against orders to do it. So that conflict of it is interesting, but he doesn't really have a lot of dramatic weight here. He freaks out a few times in the movie. He kind of, spastically throws up his arms and runs around everywhere. But he's not really a good presence. He doesn't have that great of chemistry with Anthony Mackie. And given the fact that the movie rests a lot on this kid's scrawny shoulders, That's not good. That's not a good thing.
I would equivalent Idris's performance to kind of like dry toast. I mean, it'll nourish you, it'll get you through the day to lunch, but apart from that, it's just dry toast. There's nothing really exciting about it. And
Dry toast, yeah, maybe even burnt toast. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's not a very stimulating performance, and it is definitely not as interesting as Anthony Mackie's character. And there's several problems with this movie, but the other problem is both.
And you forgot to say that this movie's in the near future.
Yeah, movies in the near future. But the other thing that is not done that well in this movie is the writing. Like I said, Damon Idris's character has an interesting conflict, right? Anthony Mackie's character, Captain Leo, has a very interesting conflict. There's a lot of interesting themes being juggled in this movie regarding war, violence, casualties, artificial intelligence, drone warfare. There's a lot of interesting ideas, but they never really intersect into one cohesive plot. It kind of feels like an idea board. It's like, oh, this is interesting ideas. Let's throw it at the wall. See what sticks,
I mean, over the years, Hollywood has really explored the concept of, artificial intelligence from, the early days of TV to, some great examples, Star Trek: The Next Generation with Commander Data, who I personally love that show because of Data and Worf. To Will Smith and I, Robot, which is a far superior film, which is also based off a book, which had a lot stronger of a foundation. I think it got a little bit more of a bad rap when it came out, but I thought it was really a solid movie. But with this, I agree with you. It seems like they had kind of an interesting idea. They just didn't follow through well on it. It was kind of half done. I don't know. The trailer looked promising, but trailers a lie. You can cut it really well.
Look promising. It's false advertising.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem with the movie. I mean, it started off strong, and just really, I don't know, didn't go anywhere. And
it's interesting that you bring that up because, like you said, exploring AI in movies before is not really a new concept. 2001: A Space Odyssey, Blade Runner, iRobot, Ex Machina more recently. Mm-hmm. Even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we talked about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Avengers: Age of Ultron explores artificial intelligence in a more interesting way than this movie. So there's been good movies done in the past on artificial intelligence. And likewise, there's also been a lot of great movies about casualty of war. Obviously we've reviewed a lot of war movies on this channel, but one movie that this made me think of was Eye in the Sky, a 2016 thriller starring Helen Mirren and Aaron Paul. That one tackles a lot of the moral ambiguities around drone warfare and in a very interesting way. This movie is like a split between, those other science fiction movies and Eye in the Sky, and it never intersects. It's split at the seams, and the end result is just a flimsy plot.
Eye in the Sky, I went and saw that out in theaters. It was a limited release. I'm glad I did. It had, Helen Mirren, like you said, Aaron Paul, who it was good to see him do something other than Breaking Bad, to test his acting chops there. But you also had Alan Rickman, which was, I believe, his last performance on screen. And you had a solid story with that. You had a believable story with that. And I've watched a lot of movies that are about the near future, which this, it is, but they're much better. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it just felt half done. It wasn't very rewarding.
Yeah, I will say the action in this movie is done very well. Like when you see Anthony Mackie throw it down with like soldiers and drones and just go to town on these guys, he is an animal. He's a killing machine, and you see his full ability on display, and it is vicious, and I love it. Those moments are done very cool. But it is a double-edged sword because you've talked about the third act. The third act is stupid. It's not even interesting. It's stupid because you've seen what this android can do throughout the whole movie. You see how he just goes through soldiers like they're paper soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
They fall apart like dominoes. And you have this wimpy little kid that got, dishonorably discharged because he went against his commanding officer, scared at even a bullet being fired in his general direction. And there's this big climax that comes to a head, and this kid you see several times in the movie where he very clearly should have died. Very, very violent and bloody and gruesome deaths. And it doesn't happen. Why does it happen? Because the screenwriter intervenes and he's like, oh, this guy he's the hero. He needs to win this story. So we're gonna let him live in this scene and this scene and this scene so he can have, the happy ending. But it does not make sense. It is completely inorganic to the rules of the rest of the movie he's been setting up.
Well, my other beef is not so much with the story, it's with the prop department in this movie. Okay, the dude's in the Air Force. He's working with the Army and the Marines, right? They sent him on a secret mission. What do they give him to drive? They give him Michael Scott's Chrysler Sebring to go do his mission. I've driven a Chrysler before. They suck as a car. How would you know that thing wouldn't break down on you? I mean, come on. Really? A Chrysler? I can't afford a Mercedes, come on.
Maybe they're upgraded in the future. I don't know. I definitely thought that was weird. And the wardrobe department was also a little weird in, futuristic Russia. But whatever, they're somewhat undercover. I was willing to forgive that. My problem,
I guess so. But I was like thinking, really, you're in the military? You're driving a Chrysler Sebring?
Yeah.
Really?
The props and the costumes were an interesting choice, but to me, they were smaller problems compared to the writing, the direction, just the general handling of this movie. It's clearly very unfiltered. It's very half-baked.
Yeah. I could have forgiven that if the story was even remotely better, but I feel like I'm kind of kicking something when it's already down on the ground,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of war movies. I've enjoyed a lot of action war movies. I don't know. If you're looking for something that really kill your time, I guess this is an okay choice. I'd rather rewatch like Tommy Boy or something and get maybe a few laughs out of my 2 hours there, but
yeah,
this is definitely not at the top of my list.
If you're looking for high octane, over the top action, without any semblance of a plot connecting it, this movie will be fine. But if you're looking for something a little more rewarding, if you're looking for a war movie that is a little more fun than this, I think Extraction is better. You and I reviewed that early on in the pandemic. Eye in the Sky was very good. And really most other action thrillers out there. The thing is, I don't think simplicity is ever the bad thing. I think being distracted is a bad thing. And I think this movie very clearly is trying to fit two different ideas into one narrative, and it just does not work.
Yeah, it doesn't gel together. So we've come to the point where we have to give a rating on this movie. What is your score for Outside the Wire?
Solid 4. It's not terrible, but a very flimsy script, a really mediocre performance from the lead, and a downright stupid and unbelievable third act.
Yeah,
which brings this movie a little bit below mediocre.
Well, I was going to give it a 4, but because of the Chrysler Sebring, 3.5.
That really bothers you, doesn't it?
It bugs me. I mean, come on, you spend billions on defense, and you give, okay, this guy is going to go try and save the world, we're going to give them the most crappiest car to get there.
Well, well, I was gonna make a political joke. Maybe I shouldn't make it. I was gonna say Pete Buttigieg is a Secretary of Transportation now, so maybe that's a change that he made in the future.
Well, that is going to do it for this week's edition of the Critics Corner. So if you have any thoughts, questions, movie suggestions, please shoot us an email. Send us the message on Facebook. We'll be glad to look at your suggestion and see if we can make that work. So, we will see you guys next week, and y'all have a great rest of your day.
Y'all have a great weekend.